I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we meet today. I would also like to pay my respects to the elders past and present. Welcome back to another episode of the Project Life podcast. Today we are joined with Alysha Sharp, who joined us in the previous episode to talk about building homes. Today, however, we are jumping into her birth and pregnancy stories of her two beautiful daughters. Welcome back, Alysha. It's great to have you.
Thanks for having me back.
So which daughter are we going to talk about first? Are we going to go chronologically or?
Yeah, well, Riley's was really easy, so I'll go with her first. She was a good pregnancy. She was my first. So we got married in 2016. And then we sort of tried pretty much straight away for a baby. And then it just wasn't happening. Wasn't happening at all. We were about to basically go down the road of IVF. I was having a hard time with my boss at work, being able to have time off and being able to, do a lot of things. So I was a bit stressed with what I was going to do and how I was going to get time off to do IVF because it's obviously a lot involved in it.
Yeah. Surely there's got to be something to accommodate that in legislations or
for surgeons and stuff. So they were always really good. The doctors, they were fantastic. The manager herself wasn't that great with things like that. We had planned to go overseas that Christmas. Yeah. So we were like, in our minds, we're like, yep, no, we'll go overseas. Yeah. We did start acupuncture, probably October, I would say. Yeah. September, October we started and nothing was really happening. Although she did say give it about 3-ish months. Yeah. By the end of that December, we were planning to go away. Nothing had happened. So we said, okay, you know what? We'll come back and about February we'll go back in and we'll just go straight and do the IVF.
Did you have testing and all those kind of things done first?
We did all testing and stuff. I was absolutely fine. Justin was a low sperm count. Okay. And they said it was from just diet and lifestyle type of things.
You're saying like V's and Red Bulls was one thing they said do not have.
Yeah, he used to drink like 2 Red Bulls a day. He does now, but yeah, no, he did it religiously back then. His diet wasn't the worst, don't get me wrong, but probably, it could have been better.
Was it both of you doing the acupuncture?
We both did it. I didn't necessarily need to, but it did. She does say it does help.
Probably more for like your stress and things like that as well, yeah?
That's what she said. It was more like you don't need it, but you might, it doesn't hurt to help. So we did all that and then I think it was about a week before we left. No, sorry, not a week. It was 3 days before we left. And my boobs were really hurting. I remember and I was like, this
doesn't feel right.
Doesn't feel good. So I took a pregnancy test and I found out I was pregnant. Yeah. So that was exciting. But it was also like we were planning to meet up with friends in Dublin for New Year's and I was kind of like, oh, that was going to be my last hurrah. It was going to be like my last little thing. But I guess it just didn't happen like that.
Especially in Ireland, that would have been different. You're just nearly pregnant. Everyone's having the beers.
I was probably the only sober person in Ireland, I think, for New Year's that year. Especially in that bar, we went to this bar club thing and it was fantastic vibe and it was just, everyone was having a great time and I was just sober Sally.
So did you have a good pregnancy though?
Yes.
Especially while you were traveling, you weren't sick or anything?
It was absolutely fine. I wasn't sick at all. I did feel sick if I had takeaway food type of food, if I had greasy and oily, it just didn't sit right. I never threw up from it. I found if I had an apple or something afterwards, it was great. I was fine.
That's the definition of a balanced diet.
I know, right? Some chips and then an apple. Yeah. No. But it was pretty good. I was fine. I came back and doctor said it was all good. Yeah. Never felt sick and That's amazing. I tried to go on as many walks and I didn't exercise as much as I did the second pregnancy, but
were you exercising before you fell pregnant as well?
Yeah, not as much though. Yeah.
Just not as high intensity.
Not as frequent and stuff. Like I just took the dogs for a walk, really went to the gym every now and then. I still continued to do that. My obstetrician always said, still don't change anything, just do what you're doing basically.
Yeah, said the same thing to me. Yeah.
It was absolutely great. Like I don't think I packed on much weight until later on in the pregnancy. I think I was like 8 months.
Yeah.
And I really didn't, I don't think I had a big belly, but it wasn't like
huge until that last month.
But I think I only put on like 30 kilos. I think, which doesn't sound, it's a lot, but it's not.
It is, but when a lot of it's baby as well, and water and blood and all that stuff that you put on. I guess it's different for everybody too, isn't it? How your body reacts.
Everyone's bodies are different. Like I didn't eat, I could have sat there and ate Tim Tams and hot chips all day, but I didn't.
Everyone used to say that to me at work. I'll be like, I feel like this, and they're like, yeah, well, you got an excuse, you can do that. And I was like, no, that's not how it works.
No, no, not at all.
Got to feed the baby good stuff.
Yes, that's exactly right. But no, everything was great, and I was a week overdue, and he booked me in for
To
get induced because he's like, it's not like my obstetrician always likes to let things happen naturally. He doesn't. I had a friend of mine who, they were like, no, you're due, he hasn't come, book an induction in because they prefer.
I think a week, even 2 weeks over, like if it's the due date, come on.
Yeah.
Like give it a week or two.
As much as you as a woman, like you'd get over it, but like the doctors, ultimately I'm paying him, he knows what he's doing. I have no idea. I'm not a doctor.
Before birth and everything, did you have any birth preferences that you wanted to have?
None at all.
Did you go public or private?
We chose to go private.
And that's why you had your own obstetrician, yeah?
Yes. Yeah. Working in the health industry, working at a hospital and for doctors, I sort of opted to go private.
You felt more comfortable, yeah.
Definitely due to hearing stories and whatnot. But for me personally, I preferred to go private. We also had the money to do so we're like, yep, no worries. So we chose to go private. One of the girls I used to work for, one of the nurses, Jan, she used to tell me, go into it open-minded, because as soon as you're there, whatever you think that you want is going to go out the window.
Yeah. Did you do birthing classes or anything beforehand?
I did nothing.
No, you literally just went with the flow.
Literally just went with the flow, yeah.
And you hadn't heard any like scary stories beforehand from people that kind of made you cringe and go, oh no, hope that doesn't happen to me.
Yeah, look, working in the health industry, you hear a lot of things, but doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to happen to you.
Yeah, and plus you're in a good place, aren't you, if anything does happen? You've got the right care.
That's exactly right. You're with doctors and you're with nurses. I did think about doing a water birth at one stage, or at least having the option, but the private hospital we went to didn't have the facility for that. So then I was like, oh, cool, whatever.
It just has showers, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even use that because I had an epidural and I was induced, so you can't really get up and walk around anyway. So I
What does it look like when you get induced? Like I didn't get induced with my son.
So we got there. The night before they did like a stretch and sweep and checked everything, and then they said, come back, you can stay here or you just come back tomorrow morning at 7. So we were like, we'll just come back tomorrow morning at 7, it's fine. I'm not sleeping on the hospital bed if I don't have to, type of thing. We got there at 7, checked us in, took us into the birthing suite. Probably by 8, they have you in like the gown and everything, put some monitors on you, then they put me on the drip to break my waters.
Okay, yeah. So they put, what is it called? It's a synthetic.
Exactly what it's called.
Is that the oxytocin, or I can't remember.
They can do like the balloon where they do something, but I heard that's more painful.
I think there's a few things. I think being induced is painful, isn't it? Isn't that why you go epidural as well? Did you get the epidural knowing that you were going to be in pain, or did you get it after you started getting the pain and contractions?
Afterwards. Yeah. Because in my mind, I was like, no, because I can get up and I can walk around for as long as I can. Yeah. I couldn't because I was on monitors, so I couldn't get up and walk around. So looking back, I kind of wish I just had gotten it. But no, the contractions were okay at the start, and then they started getting pretty bad by like 10 a.m.
When my waters first broke, it was about 20 minutes apart. Were they quite frequent?
Maybe like 10 minutes, I would say.
Yeah, so it kind of speeds it up, I guess, if you do a little bit of induction, yeah?
By the time I was there, it got to like 10:30, and I said to Justin, no, I want the epidural. He got the nurse to come in and she's like, do you want the gas? And I'm like, no. I know as soon as I have the gas, I will throw up. I don't want it. Just don't. I know. She gave it to me to try, and I put it in like the tube in my mouth, and I've gone, no, I know instantly if I do this, I'm going to throw up. No. And we're waiting for the anaesthetist to come so he could do the epidural, and it started getting really bad. And they checked me, and I think I was only like 4 centimeters. Maybe. I think they were expecting me to be more.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. So the nurses were saying, oh, wow, you're only this, like you should have been more by now. But I think because my body must have been like, no, don't. Because I was in like too much pain. I was working myself up type of thing. And then as soon as I had the epidural, the pain sort of just like obviously stops. You don't feel it. I was able to have a sleep. I literally slept for like an hour and a half. It's great. It's fantastic. The doctor woke me up. He turned my epidural off, so he stopped it. Yeah. And he's like, okay, we're going to start pushing.
You kind of feel when you're pushing. I remember I was laying over the side of the bed and I was just so exhausted because I just had the gas and the TENS machine. And I was just like, okay, I'm tired now. Can we come back tomorrow? I was like, oh, I was just so tired. I was like, I should have had the epidural. And it wasn't for the pain. It was so I could sleep. I was that exhausted.
It was the best thing because I was exhausted. By the time I got the epidural, I was just done. I was so done. I was tired. I was in so much pain. And then like Justin, I don't think he realized how much pain I was in because I'm very like quiet and I just think about it and I'm just in my own mind. Like I don't scream. I'm just like very just chill, like on the outside. On the inside, I'm screaming.
You really
fucking like sore, man.
Like a stone cold statue. Yeah. Really on the inside, everything is boiling.
We put the epidural in and I remember because they sit you over the bed and that was the worst. When you're having a baby, there's one position for you that day that is the worst position you can ever be in. And that was it for me. And he's like, you've got to bend forward. I'm like, I fucking hate this. I don't want to do it. Hurry the fuck up because I don't want to sit like this anymore. Yeah. And then, had to sleep.
The thing with me is the epidural, the needle in the back just freaks me the fuck out. Is it really quick?
Yeah, it is. Okay. It's the process beforehand because they've got to sterilize everything. They've got to make sure everything's all good. They've got to make sure they've got the right thing going in the right way. And as soon as it goes in, it's fine.
And it stays in your back, yeah?
But they like tape it up and then they tape something over your shoulder, whatever it is, and like all the tubes and stuff.
Like cringe.
It wasn't that bad. I had a nice sleep.
Cringe. Yeah, in that moment, it's, a good option. But for me, it just, it plays in my head.
It can be daunting, but it was all right. Justin did make a joke and I don't think that either just found it very funny. He walked in and he said, oh, I'm here for the epidural. And Justin goes, oh yeah, one for me, one for her. And I laughed a little bit because I know his humour, but I don't think the doctor thought it was that funny. He just looked at him and just kept walking.
So you're ready to push. Doctor come in.
Yeah, so he came in and he was already in before, I think an hour before I was like, he turned it off and he said, he kind of had a look and he's a little bit longer. And then I think he went and had to lie down in the other room. I don't know what he did.
It's weird, hey, when they come and go and just like, what do you do in between?
I know, right?
If you're an obstetrician, you're only there for that person and that birth.
Yeah, you're there for like that one particular part.
Yeah.
So what do you do before? Yeah. He came back in and it must have been like 4 o'clock.
Yeah, okay.
And he turned it off and he's like, and I remember saying, why are you turning it off? And he's like, it's okay, it'll wear off. While it starts wearing off, you'll get your feeling back and you'll know, when I'm telling you to push and what to do. And I'm like, but I don't care. I don't want it off. Like, leave it on. That's the whole point of having it because I don't want to feel it. And he's like, you won't feel it. Relax. It's just going to give you a little bit of help. And I'm like, arguing with him. And he's like, stop arguing with me, basically.
Yep.
And then, we're sort of starting to push. And I remember the nurses are like, push through your bum. And I'm like, I don't know what you mean. How the hell do you push through? I can't feel anything. What are you telling? And it was, Riley was getting stuck. There's like a little bend just before they come out or something. He was explaining to me and he's like, she's getting stuck. Like I can see her, but she's not quite making it over that little
And because you're
bend thing.
You're on your back too, yeah. So where the base of the pelvis and that is, they've got to kind of come up and out.
Yeah. So
She was just getting to that point and then going back. And then I remember he said to me, I think you can do it yourself. I don't think you need it, but I'm letting you know the vacuum's here for you if you choose. But I don't think you need it. And I looked at Justin and he goes, do you want to do it? Justin's like freaked out, right? He's so stressed. And I'm like, I think I'm going to try a little bit longer. I was exhausted though. Like she wasn't born until I think 7 o'clock at night.
So you started pushing around 4, 5? 4.
4:30, yeah.
So you've been pushing for a few hours?
Yeah, I was exhausted, hey.
Wow.
I was bloody exhausted.
Lucky you had that nap.
Yeah. I know, right? No, but my body, I wanted to try so badly because I didn't want the vacuum. But then I looked at him and he's like, you can do it. And he was encouraging me and I'm like, okay, my doctor thinks I can do it, yeah. And then I just looked at Justin after another like 2-3 pushes trying and I was like, I can't do this. And then he goes, oh, can you get her the vacuum? And he's like, are you sure? I know you can do it a couple more times. And I'm like, I'm exhausted. I really can't. And then she was out like in 2 seconds. Yep, that was it. And I was like, oh, okay. And I remember the cord was wrapped around her neck.
Yeah.
And then I freaked out a little bit because I was like, what the hell? And he's like, it's normal. She's fine. Don't worry about it. It happens all the time. And I was like, okay. And then I remember Justin, he had my mum there for support for him. I didn't want mum there. I wanted it just us two.
Yeah.
But I think he really needed support.
Yeah, and knowing Justin personally, I think he would be trying to hold it together and he'd be joking about it. But inside, I reckon he would have been shitting himself and be like, what do I do? What do I do?
He had no idea. And then he was just silent the whole time. And mum was there directing him what to do. And then I remember she came out and like, they just chuck her on you. They just like chuck the baby on you and you just like kind of got to catch her a little bit. And you're like, okay. And she's all like slimy and yucky and everything. And you're just like, So she's like on my belly.
Yeah.
I had pulled it up and then, I caught her and then she's like weeing on me and I'm like, oh, hurry up guys. And then I'm trying to the placenta's coming out and then I look over and I see Justin's mum's face because the placenta comes out and then he puts it in a kidney tray, but he slaps it in. And then I'm like, I've heard about this. I've seen things like this. It's fine. To me, I'm like, whatever.
Justin's like, what?
Justin and my mum looked at each other like, what the fuck was that? The both of them. The both of them. You should have seen that. It was hilarious. And I'm like, guys, come on. And then you cut the umbilical cord and Justin's like, this is fucking weird. It's like calamari with blunt scissors. It's weird.
Yeah.
And then that was all done. They take her over to the other, where the light is and everything, and they're doing her tests and she's great. And then the nurse comes over and the nurse didn't realize that the epidural was turned off.
Yeah.
So then she gives you that needle in your leg.
Oh no.
And she didn't realize. Justin's looked at me. She's yanked that needle right in my leg. I've closed
This
my...
is before you had birth
After.
placenta though.
Yeah. No, after. Before?
Why did they give you the needle?
Or maybe it was
to
some
make it
process,
help
whatever.
birth. Yeah.
No, it was one of the needles afterwards so you don't get an infection or something. So I lost a lot of blood when I had given birth. So I don't know if that had to do with it.
Yeah, right.
I don't really listen
So I
to what they were
remember I
saying.
had the one in the leg, but it was to help birth the placenta.
Yeah. Might have been that.
So,
I don't know. Either
anyway,
one.
she's come and stabbed you in the leg. And
I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was afterwards and I could feel it and Justin had to grab my hand because I made a fist like I was going to punch her in the face because I was like, what the hell did you just do? And he's like, calm down, Alysha. It's just a needle. And then she was like, I am so sorry. I thought she hadn't seen that because they changed over mid-birth. So they hadn't seen that it was she hadn't seen that because they changed over mid-birth.
Didn't communicate with her that it was turned off because they didn't even see it was turned off.
Yeah. So then it was a whole thing because Dr. Keisha just came in and just turned it off. And he was like, you'll be fine. Don't worry. And I think that's why I chose him because he was so easygoing and he's like, you can do it. Your body can do this, type of thing. And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. Sweet. Whatever. So it was pretty easy. We stayed in hospital. I had her on a Thursday and we left on the Monday to go home. We had lots of family come in and out and visit us, which was nice.
I know.
Literally like every day.
And that was before COVID.
Yes.
I know we touched on Zoe's in the previous episode. If you haven't listened to it, please go back and do so. So if we fast forward a few years, we're kind of in the COVID era with Zoe as well. You're moving house, building house. COVID's just happened. We're now having all this wild wet weather.
Yes.
Zoe's birth. We touched on a bit of the pregnancy. It was pretty good. You had the sciatica.
Yeah, pregnancy wasn't too bad. It was pretty much the same as Riley's, I would say.
Yeah, okay. So you had
My
pretty good
asthma,
pregnancies.
yeah. Like I had the sciatica and then my asthma was pretty shocking with Zoe's.
Was she really high up or something?
Yeah. It wasn't too bad. Okay. She moved around a lot more, I remember. Like Riley didn't move around as much as Zoe. It's because she's, a little bit more chilled out than Zoe. But no, Riley, I remember Riley was born and then COVID hit. Zoe was coming out of COVID. Like once COVID was sort of not even a thing anymore. I remember towards the end of it, I was like, I'm over it. But I think building the house and moving, I don't think any of that helped.
No.
Not at all. I think that, So we ended up giving birth to her a week early. She was a week early.
And when you say we, you mean you?
Me, yeah.
Like Justin was there for support?
Police. So Justin had worked that day before. Then we were obviously packing to move the following day. And then I went into labour. We went into the hospital. Justin spent the whole way there. He was so freaked out because he didn't know what to do. He's like, don't you have this baby in this car?
Yeah, because you were in the hospital the first time. Everything was there and controlled. Like,
Yeah, everything was...
He's like, I've got to get there so I don't have to do anything.
The nurses were on the phone to me saying, relax, you got heaps of time. I'm like, okay, cool, sweet. And then he's freaking out. So mum said to me, just leave and get there early because it will calm him down. Otherwise, he'll do your head in. So we get there, they put us in like the waiting room and the nurse is like, oh, you're here early. And Justin's like, so I got here for no reason? I'm like, I told you. So we go in and I wasn't very far along, maybe like 3-4 centimeters. But it was sort of slow and I was fine. I didn't, I was getting a couple of contractions, but it didn't really feel like anything. And then they sort of like, we'll monitor you type of thing. And they were sort of not in the room as often as Riley's, which obviously I wasn't being induced, so whatever. Justin had fallen asleep on the lounge, little seat thing that they gave him. And I was like, okay, look, whatever. I had everything, like I got changed and all that. And then he went to sleep and I started getting pain really bad in my back. And I had the monitor on and everything and they weren't letting me get up and walk around because they needed the monitor for something. Must have been from her sitting, I don't know.
Probably from the baby's heart because they were obsessing with my heart monitor for him when I was in there.
Yeah.
But I forewarned them. I was like, I need a wireless one because I'm going to be moving. And every time I'd move, they'll be like, stay still, stay still.
I was going to ask him and then I was like, I am tired myself. I'm going to try and get to sleep. So I didn't really bother too much either. But then I woke up and it was like 2:30. Must have been 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. And it was bad. My pain was fucking bad. And it was just my lower back. It was so painful. It wasn't funny. And then Justin's like, I woke him up. It was so funny. He was half asleep and he's like, yeah, what do you need? What do you need? And then I was like, the pain's like really, really bad. I need something. And they tried giving me the gas again. And I'm like, nope. I know I'm going to throw up. I'm not having the gas. Get out of here. No. He obviously had some. Then we called the anaesthetist to come. He didn't get there till like 3:30. And he did the epidural for me. It didn't work. So he had put the epidural in, left, and I kept saying to them, I can still feel everything. It's still hurting,
Is it meant to work straight away or does it take time?
Yeah.
Okay, straight away. And you'd had it before, you know how it works.
I kept turning the dose up. And nothing was happening. I was still in pain. Like I was dulling it a little bit, but not what it should have been doing. So then at that point, I was moving onto my side a little bit. The nurses were letting me move to my side and laying on my side. But the baby's heart and stuff, whatever it is, so you can't, it didn't like it. So you can't lay on your side for too long. I had to go back on my back, and it was just back and forth. And I got to the point where it was about 6 a.m. and I was in tears, literally in tears. And I'm saying to Justin, I can't do this anymore. I actually don't think I can do this anymore. And it takes me a lot to get to that point. Like I'm very just to myself, and just like, they had given me the epidural. Justin went back to sleep, and he didn't even realize I was in as much pain as I was, because I wasn't, screaming.
He's probably just woken up to you, like in hysterics and upset.
Yes. And he was like, oh my God. And he's like, do you want some ice? Like, I don't want any ice, thank you very much. He's like, are you sure? He's like,
not that polite.
no, I was just like, just get out of my face. Get out of my face. I'm fine. And he's like, do you want a face washer? I'll get you a cold face washer. And I'm like, no, babe, I'm okay. Please just stop asking me. And then, he went and got the doctor. Dr. Keisha came in at like 6, and he looked confused. And he was like, the anaesthetist come in as well. And he's like, no, the epidural's fine. Everything looks fine. Like, I don't understand why you can't feel anything. Justin's freaking out. And he's like, well, you put it in wrong. And he's like, I didn't put it in wrong. I'm like, Justin, sometimes it just doesn't work. Like, you hear that. Sometimes it just won't work for you. Yeah. Turns out Zoe was spine to spine. So she had moved. Ooh. Yes. When I had seen Dr. Keisha that morning, he did a scan in his office. She was fine. She was great. She was in the right position.
Her spine was like towards your belly, and at this point her spine was like right on yours.
That's why I was getting the back pain, and the epidural wasn't working because of the position that she was. So it was like shit. I was like crying, and then Dr.
How far along were you at this point? Like, had they checked?
I was like 9 centimeters.
So you're pretty close, almost there.
As soon as I was getting like ready to go type of thing, that's when the pain was getting worse.
Yeah, and it's most constant too. Yeah. You don't get a rest.
No, I was not. I was just in tears the whole time, and Dr. Keisha's like, you're okay. And I'm like, don't feel okay. I feel like I'm going to just like die or something. Like, I don't feel good. I don't want to do this. But then it was strange, because as soon as I started pushing, the pain like wasn't there.
She'd moved. She'd moved down.
She was moving. She was coming out. I started pushing about 7, and then I had her about 9:30.
Again, you were pushing for quite some time.
About 9, I had her, and then by the time the placenta came out and everything. So I was pushing for quite some time. And then she just came out. She was great. I didn't need a vacuum. I didn't need any help with that, which was good.
And were you on your back when you gave birth this time too?
Yeah. I think if I had known, I wouldn't have got the epidural, and I might have been maybe like in a different position, and I wouldn't have felt the pain, because as soon as I went on my side, the pain wasn't as strong.
If you were on your all fours as well, it would have been pulling the weight away from your back.
That's right. So yeah, no, I didn't know. She had moved at some point through the day, or even that night. I have no idea.
Well, you did say she was a lot more active.
She was. She was so active. It wasn't funny. So I, had her, and then the placenta came out, and I lost a lot more blood then. I was almost about to have a transfusion. Ooh. Yeah, and then my placenta broke. So the doctor, like inside. Okay, yeah. So the Dr. Keisha had to go in and actually manually scrape it out. He said he had like 5 minutes left to get it all out, otherwise I had to go to theatre. Yeah, right. So he's like, I've got 5 more minutes, guys. I remember he saying to the nurses, he's like, please. Yeah, I remember he was like freaking out a little bit. I could see it in his face. And he kept saying to the nurses, like, keep an eye on the time. We've got like about 5 minutes left of this. Make sure you girls are ready just in case. And I'm like, oh. And he was trying to be so quiet to the nurses, but I could hear. And it was such a strange feeling, because it's like literally I can still have that, like, you can feel his hand like scraping to get it all out. I think you get like something like toxic shock or something if it's left in there, and it's not very good for you. You can die from it. Yeah, so that was a whole thing. And then because of COVID, once I had her and went back to the room, Justin shut off, went back to the house to move, which was fine because I was exhausted. So baby slept, I slept, and it was great. But he was the only one allowed in the room. We could have one more visitor per day, one adult. We weren't allowed to have children, and I really didn't want anyone in there before Riley had met her.
That's fair enough. You want your daughter to meet her first.
We did think about smuggling her in. And I remember Justin joking around with her and he's like, we'll put you in the suitcase and we'll wheel you up. And Riley was like, yeah. And she was like so excited, but I didn't want to risk it. Like there was too many people around. The nurses were in and out too much. So I didn't want to like get in trouble. Yeah. But I do wish that I could have had her in there because I missed that whole like experience. I think she would have loved it too.
I can't wait to have like another child and see Parker and his eyes just light up when he meets his sibling for the first time. Like I think that would be a really special moment.
She was so excited when I got home. So I stayed in there till the Friday, I think. The Friday. And then it was Justin's birthday that Saturday. So I didn't stay in for as long, only because I didn't have visitors.
You got bored. I remember talking to you like, I'm so over this. It's so boring.
Because Zoe was such a good baby as well. So it was like, cool.
I mean, like, what do I do? Like, to sit
She slept longer. So like I would feed her at like 11-ish at night, 12-ish. And she wouldn't wake up till like 3, 4 in the morning. So I was like, cool. Like it was just, she was good. She was a good baby.
Speaking of feeding with your girls, you
Bottle fed.
And you opted from that from the start. You knew you wanted to bottle feed.
Yeah, so in both deliveries, I remember Dr. Keisha asking me, and he was really good. He said, are you breastfeeding? And I said, no. And he's like, are you sure? I said, yep. And he goes, okay. And he gave me a tablet to stop the milk supply from coming in.
Oh, right. I didn't know they do that.
Yeah. So they give you a tablet, so then it just doesn't come in. Yeah. It's pretty quick and easy.
What informed you to make that decision? What was the kind of pros and cons?
I liked the fact that anybody could help me feed her if I needed to. I could sleep and, like it was just easier. Like Justin could help me and, you didn't have that feeling that, in public if you wanted to breastfeed, or it just wasn't for me. And I remember a friend of mine, which turned me off completely, and she was trying to breastfeed her son. And she was like, oh, I just couldn't do it last night or something. She goes, I looked down and he had like a mouthful of blood.
What?
Yeah, like from her nipples maybe or something. I don't know. And then I was like, oh, yuck, no thank you. Like it just something happened. And I was just like, from that point, I'm like, I know something happened, but no thank you, I'm good. I'm good. I'm all right. Like formula, maybe back in the day, a couple of years ago, maybe I would have been different.
Yeah.
But these days, formula's pretty good these days.
I've mixed fed and he's purely on formula now. He's older, not that he has much.
It wasn't anything particular, just either it's for you or it's not, And there's nothing against it, it's just wasn't for me.
My experience was okay. I think the thing when I look back in hindsight is because I do have quite large breasts and breastfeeding in public, and because the way that I had to feed him, they call it like the rugby hold. So it wasn't across my body, it was like under my arm. Yeah. And that was okay until he started getting quite a lot heavier and bigger. Yeah. Because he's not sitting on my belly or on my lap or anything underneath. It's like underneath and I'm holding him while he's feeding. And the longer the feeds are and the heavier they get, it was really uncomfortable. And then trying to do that in public. And I was the same, like having something over me. I never would just whip it out.
Yes. But it's still, as much as women are like, don't worry about it, it's natural and this and that,
we're still in that movement as well. I think there's a lot of women embracing that and, praise.
Your body has just gone through so much. You're self-conscious, like everybody is.
100%.
You've got a new body to deal with. You've got this human. You're trying to do, like, the last thing you need is that on top of it, like to just not feel comfortable.
Yeah, I think everyone to their own. I think if there are people out there who are able to do it, like hats off to you. Yeah. I believe that you do what's best for you and what you think's best for your child. Yes. And if it's mixing, if it's bottled, if it's breastfeeding, if it's pumping, like one of the ladies in an episode, she is actually pumped for months and months to feed instead of formula and instead of going direct to the breast. Pumped. Like, that is some dedication. You do what you need to do to feed your baby, right? So anyone who's listening, there's no recommendations. We are literally just here, supporting you all to do what you think is best and what's best for your baby.
Yeah. I think that's the most important thing. You do what's comfortable for you. A lot of people will have opinions and will have suggestions, and you just, no worries, thank you very much. And then you do what's right for you.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you've got to be comfortable in whatever you do as a mother, because if you're not, that baby and that child will know, and they will feed off that. And anyway.
But they were both good pregnancies and good births, I think, considering, like, Zoe wasn't the best, but I'm sure there was worse people out there that have had worse experiences than I have.
You got both sides of the coin, didn't you? You didn't have to feel it the first time, but you felt it the second.
Oh, I felt it. You know when they say the ring of fire?
Yeah.
Oh, I felt that. I felt it. But no, it was good. Like, stayed in hospital, come home. It was a bit of an adjustment the second time around, I think, but we had just moved into a new house, trying to adjust to giving Riley the attention she needs, but also having a newborn. And then she had just started a new school, so trying to adjust her to a new school, and it was a lot, trying to get your house sorted and
bonding with the baby and as a family.
Justin working so much, and it was just, it was a long couple of years.
And yet, it feels like it has gone so quickly.
I know, she's coming up to 2 this year.
And she's healthy and happy, full of energy and beans.
Oh, definitely full of beans.
So much for coming on and
having me.
sharing your stories with us. It's so great to hear, a different story that we haven't had yet, especially having that epidural experience both times, because I haven't had anyone that's had that yet. So that's really good to hear that process and how it all came to light, and of your supportive partner having a good old snooze and a freak out. And guys that are listening, it happens. You think you're ready. You think you know what you're in for.
Oh, us women aren't even ready for it. Like,
No, not at all.
the amount of classes that some women do and the amount of things, you're not ready for it. Anything can happen. It's the one thing that you go into not knowing.
Exactly.
You can't prepare for it. You can't, you think you can prepare for it, but you can't.
You do the best you can, and on the day, you just need to be open to go with things, I think.
That's exactly right.
Well, thank you again for coming on for another episode. I hope you've enjoyed it, and we've really appreciated everything you've had to share with us.
Thank you.
Do not forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram and TikTok, and subscribe or follow on any of the listening platforms where you stream your podcasts.